If we lift our girls up, we change the world. We think about ensuring that what we're doing is meeting the needs of women, whether they're rural or urban, whether they're old or young.
A message of empowerment for women in Fiji as the government lends its support for female equality in the Pacific region. A $12.6 million investment going towards the implementation of the Fiji Gender Action Programme to advance women's empowerment and social protection.
I've had the opportunity and the privilege to work across and with Pacific Island Forum members. It's fair to say, in some cases you'll see extraordinary change through the likes of the Prime Minister of Samoa, for instance, really historic. But in other ways, I think we all acknowledge it's not just about leadership and who happens to hold political office. It's about what we all do at every level of leadership.
Jacinda Ardern says New Zealand will play a supportive role, but also acknowledges the country needs to get its own house in order before influencing the rest of the Pacific.
That means making sure that we remove the barriers for women to enter into politics. It means addressing those barriers to women being able to make the choices and determine their own futures, and that includes making sure that we have financial and economic independence for our women. And it means addressing gender-based violence, which is an extraordinary barrier to participation in our society.
For a female advocate in Fiji, the work to gain equality in the Pacific is far from over.
Whilst in some countries it's great that we have women prime ministers and women ministers, but as an overall region, there's so much more we could be doing to have more women in leadership, and that not only is at the parliament, it begins from the home, from the community, in schools, in employment, every sphere.
Meanwhile, down the road, another female world leader is virtually making a crucial move for the United States. Vice President Kamala Harris has stomped her country's footprint in the Pacific with a suite of changes on the way.
The United States will launch the process to establish 2 new embassies in the region. One in Tonga, one in Kiribati. We will also appoint the first ever United States envoy to the Pacific Islands Forum. Today, I am also pleased to announce that we plan to triple U.S. funding for economic development and ocean resilience for the Pacific Islands. We will request from the United States Congress an increase from $21 million per year to $60 million per year for the next 10 years.
It wants to create, a big bang for its buck, and certainly it's done that. If you speak to the people who are the leaders, then you are certainly getting heard.
Look, for a long time, I think you will have heard members of the Pacific Island Forum calling for greater engagement with the United States, be it on fishing matters or more generally on aid, development and economic aspirations. Seeing today, the United States respond to that directly, and from our perspective, that is useful.
The significant boost in presence in the Pacific is sure to keep China on alert, but how will they respond?
Well, it's just going to be watching and waiting, isn't it? And we can expect some response from China in the next few months. What that will look like, though, is hard to say at this stage.
The Pacific Islands Forum turned into an influencer contest between two of the world's powerhouse countries. Elijah Fa'afiu, PMN News, Suva.